Kent first appeared in 455.
This creator probably got that answer from, like, Bede's Historia Ecclesiastica or from, like, the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle or something like that. But those people are writing hundreds of years after the events that are being described here. And to say that the Kingdom of Kent was established in 455 couldn't be the case, because if you look at the archaeological record for southeastern Britain in, from the 430s to the end of the 5th century, what we see is that people are not in very stratified burials. So what I'm talking about is, like, you see people buried there who are clearly Anglo-Saxon migrants who are coming over after the collapse of Roman Britain, 430s and onward, and they're settling there, they're, farming there and whatnot, they have settlements there, but they wear all basically the same clothing, or more or less, they have basically the same jewelry, or more or less, they have basically the same, items, grave goods in their burials as each other, more or less, and so it's not a very stratified society is what that indicates essentially. But I think it's around the 560s or the 570s, this is when we actually start to see furnished inhumation is what is called, is burying people, especially kings, under a great burial mound and with a lot of grave goods buried in their mound. And the reign of an Anglo-Saxon king is usually 10, 15 years at the most. These people don't live very long. Anglo-Saxon kings are in battle a lot of the time, so if they live a long life, then that's going to be a pretty surprising thing, because they usually die in battle. Especially these early Anglo-Saxon kings. So, you can imagine that the reigns of these kings who are being buried in, the end of the 6th century, somewhere thereabout, began their reign in, the middle or the, first quarter of the, the very end of the first quarter of the 6th century at the very earliest, right? So Kent couldn't have been established in 455. Maybe the Jutes that first started coming over in 455, Jutes and some other Germanic peoples, maybe they called it Kent pretty early on, because the area was called Kent by the Celts since time immemorial. Since I think the 5th century BCE, the area is called Kent. It's like Contio by the people that spoke Proto-Celtic or then later Common Brittonic. And that's why the Anglo-Saxons call it that. That literally means quarter, corner in Proto-Celtic or Common Brittonic. It literally means corner, and that's the southeastern corner of the island of Great Britain. So the Kents continued to call it that. They even started to call themselves that, the Jutes, I mean. They even started to call themselves Contwara, and meaning the people of Cont, which means Kent. That's why Canterbury is called Canterbury. Contwara Burg, Canterbury. Burg means stronghold. It's the stronghold of the Kentish people, of the Jutes in Kent. Thank you for watching. I am Beast. Follow for more.